Hi, I'm Ashton Balsman with Wood & Houston Bank. Today I'm excited to introduce you to Rick Hetzel. Rick started his career as a veteran and later retired as a police chief in 2001. Since then, his entrepreneurial spirit has led to the development of successful businesses in real estate, sports equipment product development, digital publishing, and the restaurant industry. With all of his success over the years, Rick has learned a thing or two along the way and is here to share his insights with you.
Almost a decade and a half ago, I had the unique opportunity to develop what I thought was an original idea. And that's unusual in today's society. I was on a plane on my way back from an industry trade show, and I wrote at the top of my piece of paper and showed it to my wife, "Where do we go from here?" And the reason for that question was because, to our surprise, we had invented a unique product, a very simple idea that was one of the top new innovative products at one of the largest international golf shows in the world. It launched us into several countries almost immediately. We had orders way beyond what we could ever accomplish. And so the question I was asking myself is, where do I go from here and what do I do? As I mentor young professionals, entrepreneurs today, that seems to be one of the most prominent questions that I get asked. And so what I hope to share with you today is some ideas. You may already know a lot of these ideas, but perhaps to avoid some pitfalls, some obstacles, and some challenges to help you become a successful entrepreneur. So when I meet with young entrepreneurs today, I get the question, so what do you think is the most important thing I should consider as I develop my business or my idea or my technology? And over the years, one of the things I've come to see more often than not is the failure to understand basic business concepts is, in my opinion, perhaps the greatest reason for failure as an entrepreneur. And what I mean by this is, I give you an example of a plumber. I knew a plumber one time, let's just call him Joe, and Joe was the best. He could sweat copper, he could do any connections, he knew everything about plumbing. And so one day Joe decided he was going to start his own business. And he did. He hired some people, he marketed, but in a year and a half Joe was out of business. And the reason he was out of business is because he didn't really understand the basic concepts of running a business. He didn't understand the proper procedure to hire people. He didn't understand how to do payroll. He didn't understand the different types of insurance, whether it's workers' compensation or liability insurance. He didn't really understand how to handle his finances, his invoices, his payments. And perhaps most importantly, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, he didn't understand the significance of a profit and loss statement. So how do you avoid that? Well, first of all, I have a phrase, I even wrote a little article about it. It's important that we know what we don't know. And you may wonder what that means because it's kind of contrary, but what that means is we have to look inward and we have to be humble enough to identify our strengths, but more importantly, our weaknesses. Because we want to surround ourselves with people who complement our weaknesses. That's what successful business professionals do. And in doing that, we build what I call a business team or a business network. Now, what does that mean? A business network can be your attorney, your accountant, it can be the person that handles your marketing, and most importantly, it should include mentors, people that you respect, that have been successful in business and entrepreneurialism, that you can reach out to and meet with on a regular basis to talk about your ideas and to talk about your challenges, because those are the people who are going to help you navigate the pitfalls. Those can be people who are specialized in patents and trademarks, and that's really important because if you're thinking about a product that requires a patent or a trademark for an idea, you need to understand the realities of patent and trademarks and not fall prey to the misconceptions about patents. For example, a lot of people will develop a product and immediately they run to the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office and they file for a utility patent, and it's expensive because they want to avoid somebody impacting or infringing upon their patent or trademark. But the reality is, and what most people don't understand, that even if you were hit with infringement, it cost almost $50,000 to file a case to protect yourself. In our global economy today, I was once told, and I believe it today because we have been replicated in many of our products, is that if you have a good idea, in probably a year and a half to 2 years, you can expect somebody is going to replicate that somewhere, especially with the online platforms that we have available for sale of products across our globe. The other thing I want you to understand is that the invention of unique new products like the Insta-Golf shoe are very rare. So don't reinvent the wheel. Find a good wheel and make it better. The truth is, this is not all that unique. Many of the people who live in climates that have cold weather, they're familiar with a concept called ice spikes. So once we knew that something like this was needed, a pull-on golf shoe, we simply went to that industry, identified ice spikes, reconfigured for a golf cleat, and then made it sporty. And we called it the Insta-Golf shoe. Now this product has already run its product life. It's not available anymore. Most of you have never heard of it. But in its day, it really hit the market and hit the market well and was very successful. Lastly, in business, you must know your numbers. That is one of the biggest failures entrepreneurs make. You don't understand what your profit and loss statement is telling you. Not long ago, I was asked to call another person in the restaurant industry. And we talked about why they were having difficulty, and they just couldn't seem to get a handle on why they were losing money every month. At the end of the discussion, I asked them if they would send me their profit and loss statement. And there was a pause, and he said, "So what's that?" And so immediately I knew that one of the most important tools for a business owner was missing from their portfolio. One of the other areas that most entrepreneurs struggle, or most business owners for that fact, is what I call back to the future. We develop a product or an idea or a technology, and in doing so, we live in the moment. We're excited about what we have, we've fallen in love with the idea, but what we fail to do often is we fail to look down the road. We fail to ask ourselves and our business team, what might this business look like in 1 year? Maybe 3 years, or maybe 5 years. You know, you sometimes wonder if organizations like Blockbuster Video ask themselves that question. Years ago, many years ago, there was a famous hockey player. Many of you may have heard of him. His name was Bobby Orr, perhaps not. He was being interviewed by a journalist. And in the interview, the journalist asked Mr. Orr, "What makes you better than all the other professional skaters on the ice today?" And Bobby Orr answered with a very simple response. He said, "I skate to where the puck's going to be." In business, like many things in life, it's important that we have a vision, that we look down the road, and that we skate to where the puck's going to be, or at least we try to. And so how do we do that? Well, in business, we take calculated risk based upon knowledge and experience. And when I say calculated risk, what I mean is we look and do our due diligence, as I said before. We evaluate the challenges, we evaluate the costs, we evaluate the risk, we look at the market, and we revisit those things that we think might happen to a product or an idea down the road. Another thing is that I know this is hard to swallow, but don't ever fear technology. You want to embrace it and you want to learn from it. You know, it's often said that knowledge is a product of experience, but experience is actually the product of many bad decisions. Sometimes when we make mistakes, adversity makes us stronger, it helps us adapt better, and it makes us more creative. For example, one of the best known figures in the United States is a gentleman named Walt Disney. We all know who Walt Disney was, but what a lot of people don't understand is that Walt Disney didn't immediately become a success. As a matter of fact, he was rejected over 300 times before Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and Disneyland made him famous. He suffered through mental breakdowns, he suffered through bankruptcies, he suffered through lots of bad decisions. But ultimately, he developed something that is going to be his legacy for most of our lifetimes. Most importantly, you need to make a promise to yourself and your business team that you will never fail as a result of your ability to do your due diligence. So look, I'm an old guy. And you know, a lot of people think, well, you know, you're 70 years old, you know, what do you know about the internet? What do you know about technology? Well, you know, for an old guy, I'm pretty computer literate. And so what I want to also make sure we're aware of is that all the online resources that are available for entrepreneurs today, I'm one of those people that I love to read and teach myself how to do things, whether it's photography, website development, it doesn't make any difference. I love to do that. And I encourage you to do the same thing. There's a number of online resources that can help you build your websites. It can help you hire people. For example, one of the best kept secrets, I think, in society today, and probably you guys know about it, is a website that used to be known as elance.com, but now it's known as Fiverr. Anything digital that you need to have done, for example, website design, editing of an ebook, can be done by the subcontractors and freelancers that make themselves available on a global scale on Fiverr. You simply post yourself as an employer, they bid on your job, and it's almost unlimited what you can have done digitally. There's also platforms like Indeed to help you, assist you in avoiding the pitfalls of hiring good people. If you're having problems fundraising, a lack of capital, which almost every entrepreneur encounters, there's also crowdfunding platforms where you can let your idea be known to the world and encourage people to support you financially in return for something from your product or your technology. And then lastly, there's tons of ideas, templates, forms on business concepts to help you avoid the pitfalls of not understanding perhaps what an agreement or a contract might look like. So always take advantage of those numerous online platforms that are there to help entrepreneurs. There's also the opportunity to network your business. In the industry, like for example, one of our industries is the golf industry. We go to trade shows and we learn from others, we see what products are being developed, we look at the latest technology. But one thing about trade shows and launching your product or your idea into the marketplace, I encourage you to be leery about, is that once people become aware that you have a really good idea, everybody that you meet is going to have something to sell you. This is one of the lessons that we learned. It's one of the things that we kind of traversed that minefield for many years, trying to determine what we really needed. Did we need this type of marketing? Did we need this type of website with organic SEO? And it can be costly. So again, going back to those opportunities, when somebody approaches you as an entrepreneur, make sure that you review what they've done. You verify that they're a solid company. You talk to their clients to ensure that they really can do for your company what they say they can do. And then lastly, you do a cost analysis. Is this something that your business really can afford, or is it something that maybe you need to pass on? They can be very effective. In many cases, we hired third-party marketing companies that brought tons of leads to our company. In some cases, they got us on major platforms throughout the world that resulted in lots of sales. So it just requires a careful evaluation of these opportunities so that you don't get ripped off by somebody who's really looking forward to making your money but not doing for you what you need to have done. Let's talk about people for a minute. Probably your greatest resource in your organization is the people that you're going to hire. One of the things that we encourage you to do is be patient and be cautious in hiring the people that you surround yourself with. You want to hire people that are talented and skilled in the areas that you need. And then once you hire them, you want to let them do what they do best. Hire them, train them, let them work for you. You set the expectations for your people, your business, and then you monitor the outcomes to ensure they're doing what you need them to do. One of the things that's important as an entrepreneur is never be afraid of new ideas. Encourage people to bring you their ideas and let them share with you how you can grow your business. That's how you can become very successful and embrace your people and make them feel valued. Lastly, what I'd like to share with you is as an entrepreneur, you need to find balance between life and work. I see a lot of people that fall in love with their ideas and their concepts, and they're very driven and motivated, which are important characteristics for an entrepreneur. But what happens is the life-work balance gets out of balance, and it creates problems, and it creates stress in the work environment, and it creates stress with your employees. I say this, and I've been told this is really hard for people to get their head around, but the ultimate reality is it's only money. One of the most important lessons I've learned in my life is the best things in life are not really things. Enjoy your journey as an entrepreneur.
What questions do you have? Reach out and connect with Rick today. Can you believe tomorrow is Friday? Only one more day of our virtual Emerge Young Professional Summit. Tomorrow, we'll learn how our minds drive everyday decisions and how you can use that to fuel your success with Nina D'Angelo. See you then.